Welcome, good evening, and we appreciate your being here. Barnes & Noble Burbank is, whoops, wrong one. Take two. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce Herbie J. Pilato. I met Herbie several years ago when his publicist asked about setting up an event for Twitch Upon a Star. It was about this time of year at that time, and as an avid fan of Elizabeth Montgomery and her work and the Bewitched series, it was an immediate booking around Halloween and a resounding success. Since that first meeting, Herbie has graced our store annually with his work, and this year, beginning in July, during our Get Pop Culture time, there was a corporate mandate for Throwback Thursdays. There was no other person qualified or charismatic enough to bring in for those evenings, and gratefully, Herbie agreed. Due to the popularity of those Thursday evenings, Herbie voluntarily continues to host these informative, entertaining, and magical nights of classic television here in our store. On behalf of Barnes & Noble Burbank and our wonderful customer base, please accept our deepest appreciation for all you do to bring classic television into our store and for your thoughtful, engaging, and expert interviews you bring your audience here every week. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Herbie J. Pilato.
Thank you so much, Diane. What a lovely introduction. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? So excited about tonight. I've hosted many of these Throwback Thursdays. We've had so many great guests. Don Wells was here last week. We had Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley, Larry Matthews from the Dick Van Dyke Show, Gloria Loring. Ron Dante was here a couple weeks ago singing Sugar Sugar, which was just amazing. But tonight, it's a very special night for me. We're focusing on Bewitched. And I owe my career to the television show. When I first decided to write the original Bewitched book back in 1986, whatever it was, I had first written a reunion movie for Bewitched that sent to Elizabeth Montgomery's star, Samantha, and she was not interested in doing that. She had, by that time, left Bewitched. She always loved that show, and there's this misconception that she, didn't like the series, or that wasn't true. She loved Bewitched. She just wanted to move on. So she was doing, she was the queen of TV movies by that time. So it kind of just stopped, and I had all this Bewitched energy. And then meanwhile, William Asher was working on a new Bewitched series that he was going to do in the UK. William Asher was Elizabeth's husband on the producer, director on the show, and he was going to do a new show about Bewitched in the UK, and Elizabeth was actually going to come on the series and introduce a new witch and mortal, and then pop off forever. But he lost the financing or whatever. I had written my reunion movie. He liked it. We were going to work. I was going to be one of the writers on that show, but it just didn't happen. So again, I still had all this Bewitched energy, and that's when I wrote the Bewitched book. Long story short, I rewrote it as Bewitched Forever in 1995 when Elizabeth passed, and there was still this whole story about her life beyond Bewitched that I wanted to write about. And that's when I wrote Twitch Upon a Star, the first book in 2012. It took 20 years to write it, really. And then that was so successful, I did The Essential Elizabeth Montgomery. And in the process of loving Bewitched and studying it, not only did I meet Elizabeth, but I met the amazing Dick York. Let's have a hand. The first Darren on this series, and Dick Sargent, the second Darren, an amazing guy. Esmeralda was played by Alice Ghostley, and Bernie Capel, yes?
Bernie!
Oh, just a wonderful cast, and it just meant something to me. As a kid, I was bullied in the 1960s. It was Vietnam, race rioting. I mean, there were so many different reasons why everyone loved that show. And I tried to address all of those issues in a very fun way with the Bewitched book. And then I tried to bring out just the amazing person that Elizabeth was She did so much with her public persona. She used her public persona for the betterment of her community and the general community of the world, and I knew that I wanted to do something with that. So anyway, every great thing that I ever did in this industry was really because of the Bewitched book. Producing, writing future books, the message of prejudice, the message of true love, the message of forgiveness, the message of great friendship, the strong work ethic that Darren represented, all of those things. So then I decided to form the Classic TV Preservation Society after I started doing all these other books that kind of really stemmed from Bewitched that had a similar theme. The Kung Fu Book of Cain, the Kung Fu Book of Wisdom, the Bionic Book, Life Goes On. Remember Life Goes On in the 90s with the amazing Chris Burke? And Bill Smitrovich, by the way, is going to be here for the holiday show, who played the father on that. He just... so there's this theme of prejudice and true love and priorities, and that's what I tried to carry through with all my books, and that's when I formed the Classic TV Preservation Society, which, by the way, presents these events every week, and it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization where I take classic TV and self-esteem seminars to schools and colleges and community centers and businesses all over the world, if I'm requested, and talk about the positive influence of classic television, how some lawyers became attorneys because of Perry Mason, some doctors became physicians because of Marcus Welby, families learned to love each other and be kinder to each other because of the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family and the Waltons and Father Knows Best. And people learned to love each other despite their differences because of Bewitched, you know? That show was written so well, like many shows really in the 60s, but that stood out. They made it like a movie every week, and there was a certain logic within the illogic of that show that made sense, and everything made sense within that Bewitched world, and that's why it was so great. And it's why so many fantasy shows or films fail, is because they throw everything in. Anyhow, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to come back with my first guest.